I just want to invest in people that really want to be the best that they can be.
Hello, everyone. It's Todd Scrima and Robyn LaVassaur. We're without our buddy Jimmy Reed today because he's ill with the flu, but we're going to do a podcast to realtors. Now, this goes out to business people as well. So if you're not a realtor, I would encourage you to listen to it because these kind of things happen in all industries. What happened was the National Association of Realtors were under fire by the Department of Justice for basically collusion and price fixing. Because when I went to a list my home, it was assumed that I just paid 6%. And what they said was, I'm really simplifying the lawsuit, but they basically said, hey, it's not obvious to the listing and to the buyer that they can negotiate the commission. And you're kind of assume closing them. No one wants to do it's on the NMLS or MLS. You're all in collusion. And this has been talked about for years, but then there was a lawsuit and they started getting settled. So this settlement is supposed to go into effect in July. So starting in July, buyer's agents and listing agents have to say, hey, you want to buy this, work with me as an agent, here's how much I charge. And it has to be done upfront before they show properties. So this lit off like a dynamite. And, last 40 days or so, everyone's up in arms about this settlement and it's going to ruin the industry. And I can't tell you how many realtors, loan officers have told me their realtors are retiring or getting into another career. And it's being really a little bit, I think a lot overblown, but it, like anything, it'll cause and effects without the industry. So I've had out of countless meetings about this. I will give you, I don't think our point today is to tell people what to do or to take sides of any kind. I just want to brainstorm. So I'm going to tell you some things that I've heard, and I've met with owners of very large real estate companies. I've talked to realtors. I've talked to loan officers. I've talked to other mortgage banks. I've just had a bunch of meetings about this. So there's a few things going on. I think the biggest thing is that the realtors now, if I'm a realtor and I just meet Robyn, I got to have a meeting with Robyn, and we call it a buyer's presentation. And I've got to explain what all my services are, how I'm different. I've got to be good at unique proposition. Like maybe I tell Robyn, hey, I'm the best negotiator in this town. Here's proof, right? I got to find some way. And because at the end of that presentation, I would say, Robyn, you got to sign this agreement that says you're paying me 3% to represent you. Period. And if the seller won't pay it, you got to pay it. So it's very touchy subject. Think about it like this. Loan officers in the mortgage industry, we do this every day of our lives. There's not a day goes by that someone doesn't say, hey, my credit union's got a lower rate. Or, hey, I saw this rate advertised, and we've got to be upfront and negotiate and do all that. It's how we do business. Realtors, it's always been assumed. It's in the contract, the seller's paying the commission. Now, it's not that way. So, realtors, for sure, the only thing I'm convicted on is realtors are going to have a really good buyer's presentation that ends with, hey, you got to sign this contract. This is what it costs for me to represent you. Similar to an attorney, if you ever go to an attorney, at the end of the presentation, they say, here's how much I charge per hour, and you owe me a check. Here's what it is. And I always look at it and I'm like, what do you do for $500 an hour or $1,000 an hour? But I end up signing it because if I see value, if I don't see value, I say, I'm going to try someone else. So the buyer's broker's presentation is going to be a big one that ends with that agreement on what you're going to pay them. Some other ripple effects that I've seen or heard of, I think that some realtors feel offended. I've seen and heard that. I've seen some mortgage companies come out and say, hey, realtors, why don't you be a loan officer too? Which is always, under certain circumstances, been legal, but now it's being pushed more. So you see, maybe if a big buyer's agent or a big team controls mortgage, maybe they get into the mortgage business. I've seen that come about because they think their commissions are going down. I think some realtors feel defeated, like, hey, I'm already making, say, on average 2.7%, because sometimes I got a discount now, and now I'm going to go down to 1 or 1.5%, and I just don't think it's worth my time. So anyway, there's a lot here. We just want to brainstorm with you because financial planning went through this. Lenders went through something similar through Dodd-Frank, and now realtors. So other industries have gone through this, and they're just fine today. So that's part of my message today. Robyn, give me some of your thoughts, because it's a big subject.
Well, I think one of the ones that you actually missed are the people that really believe overall it's not going to be that big of a deal. And I've had that all over the place as well. And to speak to it, it's super interesting. I believe in my heart of hearts that our entire industry needed. I've said forever, Todd, I wish lending and real estate was harder to get into, was harder to stay in, meaning that whether it's the qualifications to get in, if you really think about it, overall money that can be made in our industry in general can outweigh a doctor, can outweigh a lawyer, can outweigh somebody who goes to 10 plus years of school. And when you look at it, one of the issues that I saw in the NAR stuff was that a lot of people say to buyers, you don't actually pay for me. It's free. It's free to the buyer. Well, that's like saying there's no PMI, private mortgage insurance, for all you realtors that didn't know, on a loan at 95%. That's simply not true. It is there on a conforming loan at 95%, but there's different ways to pay it. So are you the one who says, you don't have to pay a thing? Or are you the one that says, technically, if I didn't exist, you might be able to get the house for a little bit cheaper. However, here's the value, right? And so I think some people are very much addressing with fear and angst and frustration and maybe offense and all the emotions that you gave. Some are like, this is awesome, because they're already in a buyer's agent agreement type of business. They're already having conversations and consultations up front with clients. They're already addressing everything. I think I do think it's going to shrink down the real estate pool. I do. I think some people, you and I talk a lot about people avoiding confrontation, being really direct with people. It's interesting to me that most of the world is broken and or successful solely based on communication, right? It's almost all communication based. And some of that is visual, some of that is, verbal, all of those things, but it's communication at the end of the day. Man, people don't work on their communication skills. And what the industry has gone to, and I talk about this all the time, is the order-taking process, right? The client finds you. You're friends with them. They know you're a realtor. They saw your sign, or you're good enough friends that they know that you're an agent. And all of a sudden they call you and say, can we see this house? It just went up for sale. Oh, sure, I'll meet you there in an hour. And you show up and you walk through it. And they come back and they're like, this is it. We want to make an offer. Are you pre-approved? No, but we went online real quick, and you know what we did? We actually we just got our pre-approval letter. It's in our email box. Awesome. Let me go home. It's now, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and I'll type up the offer and I'll email it to you, and all you have to do is DocuSign. It's so fast and easy to buy something worth $500,000. In fact, we didn't even look at any other houses. We didn't talk about any pros and cons because we're so excited that you're excited. We're going to send you over a quick agreement, have you click and sign the Oh, wait a minute. I forgot I need to tell you. You technically owe me $12,000, $15,000 for what I just did for you. Huh? You unlocked the house and stood in the kitchen. We wandered around, said yes. Now we're docu-signing something. And one way or another, you're making $15,000. Oh boy, now it's a different world, right? It's a different world. Even if it's built into the seller, which you don't know till you make the call and you know how much commission is on the table. And that's what everybody's relying on, Todd. The listing agent's going to do their job with the seller and say, nothing's really changed. If you want top dollar for your house, you're going to pay both a buyer's agent and a listing agent through this, and you're going to be willing to pay it on behalf of the buyer. and you're going to basically leave that in there. But let me tell you, even the seller mentality is going to be, hey, wait a minute, I'm already paying their agent on behalf of them, so they're represented. I'm paying you for my representation. And then the buyer is asking me for closing costs on top of that? Now I feel like the buyer should pay their own closing costs. Oh, okay. Now everyone's fighting over who's going where. And you're right. Lenders are trained because we live in this environment every single day. And the dangerous spot is that multiple lenders, especially in the last 2 years, have gone immediately where?
To the bottom.
To the bottom. That's all that I can do it cheaper. I asked a room full of agents. I said, how many of you guys have had a lender that has called you and simply said, I can do it for less? And all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe less is what I want, right? Like maybe cheaper is what we're all looking for to solve the problem. I would caution everybody that we are in this holding pattern right now of discount or value, right? Like we're just butting up against each other. And man, if the people that don't understand value, right? If you don't understand the value of a great agent, if an agent themselves can't really express to you what they do and why they do it, we're in trouble, right? And so agents have got to have that buyer's consultation up front. They have to understand their value. And if they're really smart, and I know, I always tell all the agents that I talk to, I'm like, I know that's going to sound like a plug. It's not. I mean this sincerely. I'd love it to be Summit, but if it's not, I'd love it to be somebody who's a real valuable professional to you in your career. You better sit down with those buyers with a lender in advance. You better be in a true relationship with your lender, because they're going to help you edify yourself. They're going to help you justify the money that I believe agents absolutely earn every single day when they're doing the work that they're supposed to do, just like I believe a lender earns their money every single day when they're doing the work that they're supposed to do. And unfortunately, there are people that get paid that don't do the work that they're supposed to do. The only way to get that out is for all of the rest of us to rise up, right? Like rise our value, rise the way that we talk to our clients, treat our clients, take care of our clients, and then hold true to each other that, hey, I want to work with the utmost professional. And generally, when I hear somebody say, I'm about to get a divorce and it's going to be the ugly, do they ever go, give me the cheapest lawyer you know? What do they say?
No, give me the best one.
Give me the best one. When someone's like drowning in taxes, right? They're paying too much money. They're frustrated. What do they say? I'm paying too much in taxes.
Give me the cheapest accountant.
They're like, give me the best CPA you know, right? Like, I don't care if the bill's $1,000 more. That's worth it to me, right? Like, wait a minute, give me the best financial advisor. The best one. Who's going to earn me the most money, right? Like, when you think that way, when you're in that space, why don't people ever say, it's so rare, Todd, give me the very best lender you know. Give me the very best realtor you know. Because we as an industry have allowed and to infiltrate ourselves with, can somebody else do it for a little bit less? Can we do it for cheap?
So, Robyn, this is going to sound self-serving to the realtors, but it's not. I want to do a role play real quick. Robyn, let's pretend you're the lender.
Okay.
I'm the buyer that's coming to get the loan.
Yep.
And I'm gonna ask you about my realtor, Cindy.
Okay.
Because this is what'll happen. Cindy will not go to the realtor and say, why are you charging 3%? That question 80% of the time will go to the lender because they don't want to confront you. It's the same
like
reason
they call the realtor and ask about our closing costs, but they don't say anything when we're sitting in front of them. Yeah.
Yes. So here's the role play. So maybe do a role play the wrong way, and then we'll reverse it and do the proper role play. So I'm blown away by Robyn. We just got pre-approved. We're doing a conventional loan, and she did a great process, and we're towards the end of the meeting. We're kind of chummy by now. And I'm a single guy buying a house from Cindy, the realtor. So, Robyn, Cindy says that for me to start looking at property with her, she wants me to sign this contract, and it was like 3%, which was like, in my price range, like $15,000. Am I getting screwed over?
Oh, gosh.
Because I'm hearing in the news that this is all negotiable now.
Well, first of all, Todd, I'm so glad you brought it up to me. And I will tell you that, one, not only are you not getting screwed over, and listen, I'm going to tell you about the industry in general. There is a chance that the listing already has a commission built in for Cindy. But let me tell you about Cindy for a minute. The work that she's about to do for you is that she's already started, right? You guys have met, you know her skill set. Not only is she, the only people that can really do the real estate contracts are essentially attorneys, right? And they're not getting out there showing y'all houses and doing all the other stuff, or real estate agents, right? To really execute a contract that is truly a legal contract that has everything there. So when you think about that, Cindy is not only going to be able to execute legal contract for you, she is a phenomenal negotiator. She is so transparent about every single house. Let's say, Todd, that you were head over heels in love with the home. And Cindy knows that home's been on the market 10 different times in the last 5 years. You've got agents that'll sell that to you anyways, and maybe there's some underlying issue of some sort that people aren't really thinking about when they just love some of it. Cindy's going to tell you the entire history and educate you so that you know that you have all the facts when you're making a decision. Let's say there's an empty lot next door and you love that empty lot is there. Cindy's going to go to the county and make sure that empty lot's going to stay there so that all of a sudden you don't have a house peering into your backyard and you're miserable with what just happened and you've invested a ton of money. And real estate on the normal market that isn't a flip or a quick sale, it's not meant for a quick investment, right? It's meant for at least a 2 to 5 year investment on the general rule of thumb. So you think about that. Hey, this is pretty much a long hold for me. I want to know everything. I want to know the facts, the schools. I want Cindy to think of things that I wouldn't even think of and make sure that I'm aware of them. This is the biggest purchase, Todd. Is that a fair statement? You're shopping around $500,000. Is that the most money you've ever borrowed in your life?
The only thing close to that is I bought a $20,000 car 2 years ago.
And how scary did that feel?
That was scary enough.
That was scary enough. So you think about that on top of your hard-earned money that you've saved, and you're putting into this transaction over $50,000 of your own cash. To not protect that with a professional, to not make sure that I've got somebody who's working hard for me and taking care of me, man, that it's not only worth every penny. Sometimes I think real estate agents are underpaid when they're as good as Cindy is.
So just one more question. So I got my coworker, Juan. He's a good friend of mine. He just got his real estate license. He said he'd do it for like 1%. So
what I would challenge you on with all of that is everything I just went through with you, Todd. When you think about true discount or value, just think about this for a minute. Let me give you an example. You could manage, how much do you know about financial advisement, like running your own money, the stock market, everything around it?
Not a lot.
Okay, so you manage your own money because it saves you money. You earned 3% last year. You're pretty happy with yourself. You
stock market was up like 15%.
Financial advisor, the stock market's up 15%. So did you save money or did you lose money?
I lost money.
You lost money, but in your mind, you're thinking discount, right? You're thinking, let me get it cheaper, and cheap represents cheap. And so again, $500,000 purchase, biggest purchase of your life. Cindy is a pros pro. Juan will get there. He'll touch tons of contracts down the road. He'll work. He'll get a mentor. He'll get through it. I wouldn't entrust $15,000 to Juan. I also wouldn't entrust $5,000 to Juan because the easy $10,000 swing you're talking about, you literally could make up in her negotiations, her knowledge, the amount of information she can give you, everything. I can't even tell you how often Cindy herself gets you into a home and we get an appraisal in, and it's literally at and above value. And that means Cindy right out of the gate is making you money on your money. Does that make sense?
Does the opposite ever happen?
On occasion, but generally it's a willing party, right? Generally it's a willing party. You might be paying too much for this home and you're aware of it. I want it that bad. Does that make sense? But Cindy's going to tell you all those facts. Juan, probably a great guy, going to learn, and down the road he's going to be phenomenal. I wouldn't do anything for a discount in real estate. It's not worth the investment.
You're saying that Juan is a doctor and he's doing his first heart surgery, and I don't want to be the first patient.
Yes. No, thank you. Now, okay. I want Juan to make it.
So that's an example of that. This is going to be very important. Your relationship with your lender and how they edify you, because that question about commission will come most often to the lender, not to you as the realtor. They just won't talk about it because they're intimidated. It's confrontational.
Can I tell you the most shameless plug right there, Todd? And I've been saying this to realtors and they've confirmed it for me. So I just want you to hear this, agents. I tell every single agent, I said, if you're the listing agent and you have all the same logistics across the board, all of them, conventional loan, everybody's within, I don't know, we'll call it $2,000 of each other on a $500,000 house, can close fast, all the characteristics of everything are the same. How do you advise your seller? And every single one of them says the pre-approval letter, who the lender is, and possibly who the agent is, i.e. the value of a Cindy over a one. Because when you think about that, when you're a professional, when you're truly doing it at a high level, when people know what they're about to walk into, that listing agent has an incredible influence on the seller, right? Whether or not like they're going to map it all out. But if the seller says, what would you do, Todd? And they look down and say, I know this lender. You know what? Actually, and I also know Cindy, and she's phenomenal. The reason I say it's selfish plug is that as lenders in general, I wish that agents thought about that scenario and put themselves out of the buyers when people show up and go, I got the cheapest, I got a really cheap rate and I'm happy with it I have no clue who the lender is basically, but I got an approval online. And the buyer's agent goes, okay, you're pre-approved at least, we'll keep going. Not only do you need them to edify you, but you yourself have to say, hey, as an industry, we've got to rise up and quit talking about the discounts and that, can we get it for cheaper? And really lean into, this is a massive purchase, a massive financial move in your life. And you need the A-team on deck to get the very best outcome, because that listing agent, when they line everything up, that could cost you the one house that you absolutely loved that fit all the boxes because you wanted a discount, which might be no deal.
Yeah. One last comment, guys. I've professionally coached realtors for 24 years, some of the biggest realtors in the country. When I do their P&Ls, they will pay taxes on about 50% of their gross. So if they gross 300 grand, they'll net after expenses about 150 grand. So part of the math problem is if the industry does race down to 1% or 1.5%, you're not going to make any money.
No way. Insurance, retirement, no way.
I'm just telling you, I looked at their P&Ls for years and years, and you got to be careful of that. So if the industry races to the bottom, it's not going to be good for anybody. So it's just math, right? I mean, there is cost to run a business. I know people look at realtors and be like, they made $20,000. No, they didn't. Their gross check was 20 grand. They netted 10. And they showed you 60 homes. But I mean, we got to keep it in perspective. So I would be careful. I'm worried that people will go down that path and it won't. You look at any industry that races to the bottom, it never works out for anybody. It just doesn't. So
once in a while, it's a corporation that decides to take in, right, just the cheapest of the cheap. Yeah,
it doesn't work. So, guys, I have a present for you. If you're a realtor or if you're a non-realtor, if you want to text me. So I did a buyer's presentation, including a buyer's broker agreement with one of my long-term coaches, Marjorie Adams. Marjorie is in Virginia. She's in a mid-sized town. Last year, she averaged 8 closings a month, made $500-600 grand. She is a really good realtor. She's been a realtor coach for years. So I got her on a Zoom call. We did this presentation, and I'll text it to you for free. Just shoot me a text, say that you're a realtor, maybe tell me your name. I'll text it to you for free. I've got it on my phone. We just did it last week. So if you want that, it's about 50 minutes long, and I'm on screen with her. I'm the buyer, and she's doing a buyer's broker presentation with a buyer's broker agreement. I'll text it to you, and if you just sound like her, you're not going to struggle with this. This is the key, in my opinion. So my cell number is 916-769-9031. 916-769-9031. Shoot me a text. I'll text it to you the same day. And if you just watch it like 10 times, map out your own, put some visual aids to it, which the visual aids she has on screen. So she's been doing buyer's broker agreement for 15 years. So this is not new to her. She's not worried about it. She sees it as an opportunity, and she offers all that coaching and that live role play on that video. So reach out to me. I'll send it to you. We'll all get through this. I would tell you that there's cycles to everything, and I'll end with this. When you look at any business, any industry, it goes through cycles. Tony Robbins calls it spring, summer, winter, and fall. We're in winter right now. But right after winter comes the spring. And I think that we will continue to see the market recover, but this is probably another drudgery of getting through a hard market that got flung at us, and we got to deal with it. But it will change, and you're not destitute. Things aren't going to crumble. People are still going to buy houses. And I say that to calm people's nerves, because if you learn some new skills like this buyer's presentation, you're not going to skip a beat. Matter of fact, you'll probably do more business, which sounds crazy, but we experienced this in mortgage when Dodd-Frank came out. Everyone thought they were going to make less money because our commissions were regulated. We made more money. It worked out great. So, and the people that didn't want to stomach it, one of the reasons we did better is because a lot of people got out.
Yep.
And that's okay. So, change creates opportunity depending on how you look at it, is my point. So thank you guys. Have a great month. Thank you, Robyn. Bye, guys.
Hi, team.